Hey guys, what's up? Sandu here, and today we're gonna talk about the latest revision of the Hifiman Sundara headphone, which is quite a special headphone for multiple reasons. Starting with build quality, price point, and then with sonics. There are many headphones that are sitting in the same price bracket, and yet I don't believe there is a strong contender for the Iron Throne on which Sundara is sitting for quite some time now. You can get them for 350 bucks, and open box units are going for 300 bucks, which is an absolute steal in my book. Alright guys, let's have a look at them and then let's talk about sonics in the usual fashion. The biggest highlight for me is their rock solid build quality. So just look at them. Everything was just machined from aluminum and stainless steel. So we've got aluminum machined cups, aluminum yokes, stainless steel headband, and everything else is made from pleather. So ear cups are made from pleather and headband strap as well. There is really nothing to complain in here. This should withstand a lot of use and abuse. And after a few weeks, they look as new as they looked on the first day. Plastic cups that were found on HE400i and HE400SE are now gone. And I personally like Sundara's strap and headband design considerably more to previously mentioned headphones. Its detachable cable looks good, it's solid, there is a headphone adapter too, so you can use them with portable and desktop gear alike. As for tech inside them, we're definitely talking about a fully open back desktop planar magnetic headphone that uses extremely thin neo diaphragms, which is by about 100 times thinner than human hair. Combined with large and strong magnets, we got one of the most sensitive planar headphones out there. And at a sensitivity of 94 dB and impedance of 37 ohms, you can easily drive them with all your desktop headphone amplifiers, and even portable digital audio players wouldn't pose a problem driving them at very loud levels. Despite their full metal jacket, I find them lightweight and fairly comfortable, and I can use them for hours and hours without getting any listening fatigue. Their ear pads are angled a little bit for a better directivity of the waveguides, and once worn out, you can replace them easily without too much trouble. Moving on to sonics, if you are searching for a very technical sounding headphone that will be providing you excellent transients, start and stop of the drivers, while just covering the frequency response in full, then I believe that Hifiman Sundara is a very good headphone. So with Sundara I've got just a very good linearity, a very clean, detailed and defined bass, a technical mid-range that never tries to be dull or lifeless sounding, and of course I've got that signature Hifiman treble that is very extended, very detailed, but also harsh-free. These didn't sound so big, so the soundstage was actually so-so, but I believe in terms of depth, layering and pinpoint location of the notes, they were actually very good. So Harmonic Dyne's use is actually bigger sounding, much better in terms of scale on all axes, but those weren't that precise or that easy to focus on the notes, so the depth, pinpoint location and imaging wasn't that impressive. Sennheiser HD6XX family of headphones also sounded much smaller, so almost claustrophobic, and on the technical level those weren't that impressive at all. But by far the biggest highlight for me was detailed Retrieval. So these sounded super clean, very detailed, much more detailed compared to any other headphone in the same price bracket. And after listening to them for a few weeks and then swapping with some dynamic driver headphones, I felt that some bits of information was just missing. Everything sounded slightly muddier, so not that impressive. I believe that tonal balance is quite good, but there is definitely a slightly higher treble presence and a lower mid-range density compared to, say, Odyssey or Kennerton headphones. And for this reason alone, I would be using some Class A transistor-based amplifiers like Singster SA1, like Flux FI10, that will be taming that treble and of course elevate that mid-range for a more lifelike presentation. And in all honesty, there is little to nothing to complain about these, as they'll be putting to shame plenty of headphones in the same price bracket. I will briefly touch the subject of their sensitivity and of how much power is actually needed to fully drive them. So first of all, I tried them on my smartphone and laptop, and I've got a satisfactory experience, but sub-bass was missing in action and dynamics weren't really reaching their peaks. So in the end, it was a so-so experience. Then I moved to USB dongles like Shanling UA2, and finally sub-bass was more playful with me. Finally dynamics were slightly higher. Finally I could go much louder, so up to 100 dB if I wanted. So headroom that was remaining on top was much higher. But when I moved to portable audio players like Fire M11 Plus, like Hibi RS6, I believe that I've got a much more effortless presentation, so they sounded more refined to me. There was slightly more bass, slightly more mid-range. Everything just sounded slightly more alive to me. But the absolute best pairing was with desktop gear, obviously. So on the chip, I would go with the AUN X1 SGT. That will elevate a little bit their mid-range, their bass. Then topping L50 and E50 will be taming up that treble output. And then I believe that XDO XI10 and TA10R also should work really nice. I would personally stay away from entry-level THX AAA amplifiers and from entry-level ESS Saber converters that could make them fatiguing in long listening sessions. Moving on to Transients, I really don't know how Hifiman is doing it, but all their planars are just speeding way past the speed limit, always sounding agile, nimble with my electronica tunes. And I'm yet to hear just a boring or just plain slow sounding Hifiman planar, and I believe that Sundara is really no different. They cannot really pound so hard like well-driven Odysseys are doing, but I believe they appear to me as Forrest Gump of the headphone world. They just kept on going and going, just delivering some speedy dynamics and a decent impact into my eardrums. When properly amped, I believe that bass was stronger, so it was more present in my tunes, so you can certainly awake nicer bass slam, but for that you'll need a deeper pocket, because that was happening only with all discrete transistor-based Class C amplifiers. When I've put them on some nicer electronics, I've got hit by a wall of sound that was tightly controlled, yet visceral and impactful sounding. When it comes to soundstage and imaging, I'm not getting that tall wall of sound that was coming from Aria Stealth and from HE1000 SE, but I'm not getting that small, claustrophobic and just intimate sound that is coming from HD 6XX family of headphones, so it's somewhere in the middle, let's say so. The sheer scale of the music wasn't that big, but still music was going outside my head, but it was not hovering around my body like it might happen on HD 800 or Kennerton Rognier. While losing a little bit in terms of sheer scale, I believe that they are winning massively in terms of pinpoint location of all the notes. And there is no other way in saying that they have a very precise imaging actually. So it was very easy focusing on the things playing in the background and just appreciating the distance between the farthest and the closest sound to me. So that was quite impressive. Also, the amplifier that was driving them played a major role in here because they sounded flat, almost 2D, out of USB dongles, my smartphone, laptop, and almost binaural, almost 3D out of some proper headphone amplifiers. So feed them some high quality power and prepare to hear those sounds just going outside your head for a few centimeters. But if you listen to a lot of orchestral work and classical, maybe it would be wiser going with the newest Edition XS or Ananda. In terms of detailed retrieval and transparency, this is actually a very easy part because up to $500, this is pretty much the most detailed sounding headphone, full stop. Sennheiser HD 650, Odyssey LCD2, Kennerton Valley, hell even Mesa Imperium didn't sound so detailed, and mind you, those are almost 10 times more expensive. There is constantly an army of sounds that bombards your head, that always tries to steal your attention, and this is really one of the biggest reasons that you are interested in the Hifiman Sundara. And while their lower tiered Hifimans like HE400i and 400 SE were already quite impressive in this department, always sounding clean, Sundara is just on a higher level altogether. And I believe that in this region alone, I believe that Sundara approaches dangerously close to the Aria Stealth, and that comes as a huge compliment for the Sundara. Sundara are having a clean sounding nature, and there is no doubt about that. And if this part is important to you, then you cannot go wrong with them. Moving on to frequency response, Sundara got that signature planar bass that Hifimans are known for. So this is not the heaviest, this is not the most impactful, this is not hitting you like a train, they cannot do that. But it's a highly technical, very high quality type of bass. So it's very fast, it's clean, it's detailed, but you can discard notions as muddiness, as slow or boring. That will never happen with the Sundara. Although they can reach easily those 20 Hz notes, they didn't appear to me as very visceral and mean sounding. And I'm sorry to bring you the bad news, but from the house of Hifiman, only HE1000 SE and Susvara were very impactful in the sub bass. On a positive note, Sundara responded very well to EQ, so you can easily elevate that sub bass for a more fun and impactful presentation. Moving on to mid-range, we've got the usual Hifiman mid-range. And by that I mean a very neutral, very linear type of mid-range that is not dropped, that is not elevated, just stays on the same level with the rest of the frequency response. So if you are after a fuller or denser or warmer type of mid-range, I'm sorry, but Sundara cannot do that. But if you put them on some Class A transistor-based amplifiers, on tube-based amplifiers, you can certainly elevate that mid-range and add just a little bit of soul. But you cannot make them HD 650 or LCD2, if you know what I mean. So, in my opinion, Hifiman is the only headphone brand or planar headphone brand that is not elevating the mid-range section, and that is perfectly fine. I believe that is their signature move in a way. However, when I put them on some smoother and warmer DACs and headphone amplifiers, I certainly made them more engaging sounding, so I've added some body and naturalness, so you can certainly do that. The standout with Hifiman Sundara is their potent, or should I say, flawless treble performance. It goes sky high, it goes past 16 kHz, and there will be always something more appearing in those tracks. So be them bells, snare drum hits, double drums, all that appeared very defined, very clean, and never harsh sounding. You can certainly make them harsh sounding with the wrong equipment, and that is precisely why I would never pair them with entry-level THX AAA amplifiers or with entry-level ESS Sabre converters. I personally like this kind of treble reproduction, and thanks to a gentle roll-off past 16 kHz, I can listen to my tunes without any awareness from my part. Long story short, I'm crowning the Hifiman Sundara as the best headphone at $350, because at this price point there is no headphone that can compete with them on a technical level. These are highly detailed, very transparent, speedy sounding and decently impactful. You can drive them with entry-level stacks, and most importantly, they wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. Susvara. You can easily compare them with headphones at 2 to 3 times more expensive, and that is not an exaggeration from my part. And for all of the things combined, they fully deserved my highest gold award. Okay folks, I hope you enjoyed my review. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as usual, listen to more music, be positive, I'll see you next time. Cheers!